All right, you asked for it. Here's as many creepy demon stories as I can tell in 3 minutes.
Hey y'all, comment down below y'all thoughts of any possession stories that y'all want to share, or some that y'all like, people that y'all encounter. Comment down your thoughts below on what else should we watch on this channel. But I'm still going to cover the scary stuff in the fashion and NBA. Y'all just give me some ideas now. Let's get into it.
One time I was working at this hiking hostel in Big Bear Lake in Southern California. I started working there the same day as this other kid, and he showed up a few hours after I got there. As soon as he pulled up, I was like, yo, this guy is bad news. But then I immediately felt bad, like, why would I judge this guy before I even knew him? But something in me told me this guy was like really a bad guy. So at first everything's fine. We actually get along really well. He's a little bravado. He wants to be the alpha male, but it's really no sweat for me. But one time we were all camping and someone asked about this picture that I had of the Ark of the Covenant, and I explained that it was a reminder for me to try to be righteous, try to be more pure every day, and follow God. So he overhears the conversation and he snaps immediately. On that same trip, he started playing with the bow and arrow and would point it at me with the bow drawn. I'm almost positive he urinated on my travel pack. I had noticed earlier in the night that he was sort of standing over where my backpack was, but I didn't think anything of it. In the morning, there was definitely urine on it. But we had a dog with us, so I didn't really immediately put two and two together. So he gets worse and worse to the point where he's like trying to psychologically torture me. At the very same time, I'm realizing that the spirit of Baal has been tormenting and oppressing me and many other people across the world. So one night I'm walking through one of the common areas and he's sitting in a couch and he stops me as I'm walking by and says, "Hey, do you know anything about Baal?" And he says it like, "Hey, I know you've been researching him. He knows, he told me, and I'm letting you know we're friends." So I tell him immediately, "Yeah, but you shouldn't mess with that man." Then he starts doing all sorts of weird things to me, like he'll do this weird hand signs and then say, "Hey bro, do you know what this is?" And it's just some random, like seemingly innocuous hand sign, but I know he's trying to cast a spell on me. Then it gets really creepy. So every morning someone was in charge of breakfast. So on this particular morning I was in charge of making breakfast. So I was just really jazzed up. I was going to make an awesome breakfast for everyone. And I was cooking pancakes, and the pancakes needed eggs. He gets up first and comes in the kitchen and asks about the pancakes, and I explained all the ingredients. To which he starts flipping out on me, saying he's a vegetarian and he can't eat them. To which I say, "No, you can eat them as a vegetarian. That's vegan." And he keeps picking a fight with me, and we get into this like almost a physical fight. Then I see him walk outside, and as he's walking past the window, this terrifyingly long, large grin that he couldn't possibly physically make grows on his face. I was like, yo, this guy's possessed. Another night I start playing Ruqya music from Islam to cast out evil spirits. He immediately jumps up and starts searching around the house and interrogating everybody, asking who started playing that music. He was enraged. Alright, so that was just one story.
All right, y'all, let's get in some of these comments. Say I got chills as you were telling your story. Had soft music knocking at my door other night after discussing Carly with my father. Only heard it neither with the dogs or dad. Pitch black out. First thing first is when he says something ain't right about this guy. I don't even know why I can't figure out what is not right about him. That was your intuition speaking to you. Even though you can't see stuff in the spirit realm, your spirit feel it and pick it up on him. And that's why he got tormented by this entity after a while. That the dude was actually possessed. I feel like he knew his journey and he should trust his spirit and gut when you just don't have a settle and fiddle about somebody, because God is trying to warn you.
Story time about the time my sister was possessed by a jinn. And if you scared of jinns, just stay. All of them are locked up right now, so this story is not gonna spook you. Anyway, this story happened just a few months ago. Fresh. And yeah, I'm at work, working security. You know, this all us Africans do. So let me set the scene. Me and my folks, my family, we all in the living room watching baddies, you know. Baddie, shot a clock. They done put me on there. Knowing I can't fight. Don't get me wrong, I could do a little something. So you watching TV, she talking about some, do you guys hear that knocking? What knocking? So we ignore her because, girl, what are you talking about? Watch the show. And so she said again, do you guys hear that knocking? And so I stopped the show. And then she gonna say, shh, he's coming. Baby, if you know us, we don't play about no gyms, we don't play about none of that scary stuff. So of course, we ran, because what are you talking about? Y'all, this girl stayed in the living room and she started screaming.
Let's check out some of these comments. It said the gyms aren't locked up. Only Shay Towns. It said I didn't even get the main point, and it's already funny. When it comes to stories like these, what the hell is a gym? Somebody comment down below what are gyms, because these gyms seem like they got them in a chokehold. Is gyms demons? Is that another short word that African use for demon? All I gotta say is, why she be saying you hear that heat coming and whatever, you still sit there and not take off? Girl, bye. You better get your ass up and run if you hear it. We don't play about that spooky stuff. We rebuke it. Hallelujah. All right, y'all, let's get back into these stories.
Let's talk about spirits grabbing people. If you're new here, hi. I was just talking about some pretty scary stuff, and recently I opened an email where everyone who finds this page would be able to submit their ghost stories. And let me tell you, I have not only gotten the scariest stories I've ever read, but they're from all corners of the earth. I specifically don't enjoy reading stories where people get grabbed by things that they can't see, because that is terrifying. But this is one of those stories. So let's get into it. This story comes from someone who wants to remain anonymous, and obviously I'm going to respect that. She starts off her email by telling me that she was 12 or 13 at the time, and it was morning. So this girl's laying on the top bunk of her bed, waking up before school. And she knows it's morning time, so she knows she's starting to wake up and kind of settle, but she's kind of laying there with her eyes closed. All of a sudden, she feels the blanket that is on top of her start to tighten. And I will quote, "It felt like someone was crawling into bed." It was still pretty dark in her room at the time, so she couldn't see who it was. So she starts screaming for her mom, and is screaming at 7 a.m. Her little brother's trying to scare her. Mom gets up and is angry because it's obviously 7 a.m. and sees that there is no one else there. Well, after all of that happened, this poor girl's just left with her heart pounding out of her chest, just fearful for her life because she doesn't know what grabbed her. And she says she thinks about it all the time and wonders what it was. She says that this is the most difficult experience that she's ever had because she physically felt it. And I would 100% agree. I think that being grabbed by something is way scarier. I don't know why. But that's going to do it for me. Stay tuned for more ghost stories.
Y'all comment down below what y'all think grabbed her, because at the end of the day, these kids don't be telling no lies when they see something or see something, because they closer to the veil than us. But hell no. Comment down below y'all thoughts so far of this video, and make sure y'all like it and subscribe.
I just made this new TikTok account, and I really just felt led to share my testimony, since I don't know, I'm just gonna share it, and hopefully you guys catch something and take something away from it. So long story short, all throughout my life, from middle school up until high school, I was really seeking validation through people, because I grew up chunky. Like, I was fat. I liked to eat as a child, as an only child. That was how I filled my void of loneliness. And because of that, I experienced a lot of rejection, seeking validation through people, because I was known as the chubby, dark-skinned, fat girl in a white suburban society. So with that being said, this carried on all the way through elementary school up into high school. But what was me just seeking validation through, you know, friendships and, you know, wanting to be the cool kid and wanting to fill in a void of rejection, that now transpired into seeking validation through men, through sex, through lust, and just wanting men to accept me and to love me, to fill that void of rejection. So I ended up being in a lot of situationships in high school. I was probably known as the THOT in high school. And I honestly, in my heart at that time, I was innocent, because I truly thought that, like, what I was doing was innocent, because it's like, I'm just trying to find a man that likes a boy, because we're in high school, a boy that likes me and will love me and have, you know, the romantic Disney Channel romance, blase blase. But anyways, so that carried on through high school, and I kid you not, every single time that I thought I was feeling a void in my heart with a guy, he would break my heart. I would be suicidal, depressed, social anxiety, anxious. I remember I attempted suicide, was in the hospital, mental facilities, just so much crazy and demonic stuff. So this now carried on to college, and the same cycles repeated. I remember I was with an ex for a while, and we would, you know, hook up, and he would always be the person I call, and I would always be the person he called. It was just demonic and disgusting. So eventually I ended up finding someone that I thought fixed my issue. I remember we got into a relationship, and we were together for like an entire year. and I was on top of the world. I thought this is what I always wanted. I was like, yes, finally what I longed for my entire life has now happened. The rejection's gone. I feel so in love. I thought that it fixed my issue. Fast forward, so we're together for like a year now, and this was when things start to take a turn, because now I'm realizing, oh, the issue is not fixed. Why do I feel anxious again? Why do I feel depressed again? Why do I feel rejected? Why do I feel the feelings I felt before we were together coming back? I thought that this is what was gonna fix it. And so I start spiraling, y'all. I literally start spiraling into this mindset of, what is my purpose? Why am I here? What is going on? Like, why do I feel this way? Like, am I never gonna get better? Do I need therapy? Do I need to go back to the mental facility? Is there something wrong with me? And so at this point, I'm like I'm off the wire. I'm like, I need to figure myself out. I don't know what's going on. So at this point, my boyfriend at the time, he stayed at college, but I went back home because I felt like I needed to figure out what was going on. I didn't know. So this is when things take a turn. He's at college, I'm at home, and I'm losing it. I start smoking a lot of weed. I'm talking a lot of weed. Day in, day out, I'm smoking, I'm high. And I remember this one night specifically, and a lot of people may not believe this, but you have to have discernment and to know the power of things in the spirit to understand where I'm coming from. But I remember this one night specifically. I don't know, I thought at the time, carnally minded, that it was the pen was laced. I remember I smoked the pen, and I kid you not, it was like this dark presence filled the atmosphere in my room. I just remember feeling so much fear and anxiety. And I remember I was laying in my bed, and I felt like this dark demonic presence just sit on top of me. It was like sleep paralysis. However, I was not asleep. I remember just laying there, and I could not move. I felt paralyzed in fear. I felt this demonic presence just resting on top of me. It was heavy. I felt it. There was nothing there, but I felt it in the spirit. And so at this moment, I'm freaking out. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I have done, but this is not good. I don't know. So then I remember I started to feel like spiders coming out of my mouth. I remember I went to the restroom and I started throwing up, but like I said, there was nothing coming out of my mouth. It was all spiritual. I started throwing up snakes, and it was just, I thought I was losing my mind, y'all. Like, this was the point where I was like, there's something wrong and I don't know what it is. And so I remember all I could do was go back into my bed because, and I skipped this part, but I grew up on Jesus, y'all. Like, I was singing in church. I was a little church girl. So I knew of Jesus. However, I didn't have a relationship with him. So all I knew at that moment was to pray. I remember I curled up in a ball and I just started praying, just like, Jesus, please help me. Please, I'm sorry. Please, please, please. So I just started praying, and I just remember I knocked out. I cannot remember anything that happened after that. So that happened, and this was the start of what I know to be a month's worth of just pure torment from the enemy. And I don't know if it was because the enemy knew that this was going to be my waking up point in the spirit, but I started to get attacked severely. So about a week or maybe like a couple weeks later, my boyfriend comes back from college to visit because I have a family reunion. So I'm gonna have to make this in 2 parts. I'm gonna have to make this in 2 parts because it's getting too long. So come back for part 2. I'm gonna post it immediately. I'm gonna post it immediately.
Let's get into some of her comments. A lot of them said part 2, part 2, part 2. Let me know, comment down below if y'all want me to go find part 2 of her video. But this was a lot to break down in the minutes that she have, and I just feel like sometimes the pressure of high school can make somebody feel like they have to be someone that they're not, and then turn into someone that they're not. And that's why I feel like they're easier to be subjected to possess, because they're trying to find their self. Y'all comment down below y'all thoughts so far. All right, I'll see y'all some more.